Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well. And I'm back again with a bonus match build-up. Of course, I did one on today, but by the time you're seeing this, is going to be on Thursday with Alex from Manchester City Fan MatchDays. So I had to give you guys a bonus. I have Ray from City Fan TV. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. It's very late where I am. Probably is where you are too, mate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. What have you made of the season so far? Have you been happy with the start? Of course, beating Wolves, losing to Leicester surprisingly, and drawing with Leeds, and of course winning against Bournemouth and which other team in the Carabao Cup? I think it was Burnley. Yeah. What have you made of the season so far?
It's been up and down, man. It's been up and down. You know, it's for me, it's a continuation of last season where we were inconsistent. You know, we lost 9 league games. You know, which is it's a tremendous amount of games to lose for Man City in 9 league games in the season. I mean, we lost almost as many games as Arsenal won last season. That's how bad our season was. This season's just the same. You know, we've started each game like a house on fire. First 20, 30 minutes, we're all over the opposition. We've got intensity. We've got the press. You know, we've got the control of the game. And you think, you know, it really, when we scored the first goal, you think, how many are we going to get? Against Leicester, it really felt like that. Against Leeds as well. And then we suddenly run out of steam. We run out of the energy. The press disappears. And in the second half, in every one of those league games in the second half, we were hanging on. I mean, obviously, Leicester put 4 past us in that game. Leeds came back and we could have won that. I actually said just after half time, I spoke to a Leeds fan and I said, City were winning 1-0. And I said, I think you can win this. I think if you score early, you can win this. And you know, they put us to the score in the second half, and Wolves did the same. Wolves were unlucky. They had a lot of chances to beat us or to score goals, and they didn't take them. And then eventually, we came out on top. So it's not the sort of start of the season you want to see if you think you're going to win the league or challenge for the league this season. Yeah.
When the fixtures came out, were you happy with the first 5 games? Leeds, Wolves, Arsenal. Are you happy with those fixtures?
You can't complain. I mean, honestly, you can't complain. You got, okay, the tough one is Wolves. And yes, City had a lot less time than pretty much everybody else to recover. That's well known. We had 3 players with COVID. So you start the season it's quite tough, you know, not having enough break, not having the players in and everything else, and then going on internationals. And then starting the season. So it was a tough start to the season. But once you've got the Wolves game out of the way, you look at it and say, well, you know, we've got Leicester. Arsenal at home. You'd like to think you had a good chance of winning them all. And it's obviously, it's not worked out like that. But, you know, you got to, like people say, you got to play everybody twice. And it wasn't the hardest of first 4 games. Honestly, it wasn't the hardest. It shouldn't have been the hardest of the first 4 games. To be honest, I honestly thought the hardest of the 4 would be Wolves away. That's why I thought that would be the hardest, and it's actually proved to be the only one we've won so far.
Okay, so at the end of the season, last season, and starting this season, how many players did you want City to sign?
I knew we were only going to sign 2 or 3 main players, because Pep said that the team would be 80-85% the same. So, you know, working on that, 2 or 3 players, and we signed 3 players. If it was me, I don't disagree with the centre backs, so that's okay. I wanted somebody more than anything to replace Fernandinho. But Pep's choosing, and for me, that's been one of our biggest failings last season and this season. Is Pep's not been playing Fernandinho in his place. He's playing Rodri, who is a more, I wouldn't say creative, but he passes the ball more forwards, and you know, than Fernandinho would. Fernandinho's more your defensive-minded holding midfielder, and Rodri's slightly more attack-minded. He doesn't know how to defend, really. And I think Pep's focus has gone, you can see everywhere in the pitch. we've got defenders who are not the best at defending, but they're good at, the fullbacks are good at going down the flanks. You've got centre backs who are comfortable on the ball, are good at passing short and long, good at, if they see the space open up, taking the ball through.
Yeah.
Pep's packing his side with ball players generally, and that's what he's done with Rodri. So the biggest mistake I feel is not getting somebody like I wanted Ismail Benassa. The guy's on fire. He's only 22 years old. He's right up there at the moment. We could have got Douglas Luiz back from Villa. We could have bought him back. I just want somebody in the Fernandinho mold. So most fans would have wanted 4 or 5. There are 4 or 5 positions we need to address. I think we will next summer. Left back will be addressed unless Mendy has a fantastic season and comes back to the top level. We need someone there. We need someone holding midfielder, and we need a striker. Obviously, Aguero's 32. If we got Messi, I think if we'd got Messi this summer, that would have papered over some of the cracks. It would have kept us going for another couple of years because Messi's still at 33, still a top player. But right now, I think those for next summer. So we got 3 players. The only disappointment is Diaz is the only player that we bought that walks into the side. Ferran Torres is a squad player at the moment. He's young. He can develop. Ake, Ake's a backup for Laporte. So we've not strengthened the first team, in my opinion, that much. And we've lost David Silva, we've lost Leroy Sané. We haven't strengthened it enough for me. We'll have to wait and see what happens, how good Torres can be.
Yeah, true. Just before we get into the combined 11, I wanted to ask you about Arteta. At City, did he ever really stand out as a good or great assistant manager? Because for me, I never really tend to look at assistant managers that much or focus on them. Was he really that great at City?
It's hard to tell. I mean, how do you know what influence he had over Pep? What influence he had over tactics and strategy? You'd like to think he was not a dissenting light, but an alternative. He would offer Pep alternative points of views. Maybe Arteta was the guy when Pep sets up in a certain peculiar way to say, "Are you sure, Pep? Are you sure what you're doing is the right thing, or can we try something different?" We don't know what the relationship was, but he seemed happy there. I think in the first couple of seasons he was I felt intense. Sometimes you see the odd player and Arteta and some of the coaches after the game leaving the ground, and I think in the last season Arteta smiled more. He seemed more happy with himself or more comfortable, or maybe the intensity played on Arteta in the first couple of years a lot more than towards the end. Towards the end, I think he was more, obviously he'd been there for 3.5 years, more comfortable with what he was doing, and so I think he lightened up a bit. He smiled. We never used to see him smile. So by the end, I think he got comfortable with his job, with the role he had. But as I said, we just don't know how much of an impact he had on Pep, how much of an influence he was, because Pep will say stuff in the press conference, but you don't know what's just being nice, what just platitudes, and what's the truth. We'll only know that once one of them retires and writes the memoirs or something. So, we just don't know.
Let's get into the combined 11. You'll just give me yours personally, and then I'll do mine. Which one would you go for in goal?
I've got to go for Edison, just because the way we play.
I think I'd agree with that.
Leonard's all right as a shot stopper. He's probably better than Edison.
Yeah.
But Edison,
I'd agree with that,
this is tough because Arsenal are rubbish in defence. And City are much better. Right now, I don't think you'd argue. If we play with something like a 4-3-3, I wouldn't argue against Laporte as a centre-back. Diaz, you could argue, he's not been here long enough. Who would I go for? I'm reluctant to go for David Luiz. Really reluctant to go down that route. Gabriel, has he been here long enough to be in a combined 11? I don't know. I'd be tempted to go for Stones because he's still here. People may ridicule him, but Stones was in the season we were Centurions. Stones was the number one choice until he got injured, and the season we won all the domestic trophies, Stones was the number one choice. Even last season, the season that we won the 4 trophies, Vincent Kompany said he thought he was finished because he thought it was going to be Stones and the pot all the way. So I'll go with those 2. Fullbacks, it's a real struggle because I obviously can't pick Mendy because he can't defend. You can have anybody you want, any Arsenal left back. You can have Kolasinac, and I'd say fair enough, left back. You know, you can have Rob Holding there. You can have whoever you want to choose. Right back, I think you got to go with Kyle Walker. I can't have Bellerin or Saka or Ainsley Maitland-Niles or whoever on that side above Walker. In midfield, I don't think. So I would always have Fernandinho. I would always have Fernandinho because of that defensive midfield qualities. I don't think you can argue with KDB. An Arsenal midfielder, I'm struggling. Struggling to pick one. So I'll go with Bernardo Silva or Foden. Up front, this is where I think you guys are looking. Right now, we've got 2 guys injured, so I'm going to exclude Aguero and Gabriel Jesus. I'll go with Sterling. I don't think I can not have Sterling. I've got to have Aubameyang. Can't say no to him. And then the last choice for me is I can't have Lacazette. He's not good enough, not consistent enough. Nicolas Pepe is exciting, but very inconsistent. Would I go with Saka? Even though he's young and inexperienced. Who else have you? I'm trying to think who else you've got.
I'm assuming Aubameyang has to be there.
Yeah, Aubameyang, I'm having Aubameyang up top. So I said Sterling, Aubameyang
and on the left.
Or anywhere he wants to be. He wants to be left, right, up top. Aubameyang has got to be there with Sterling. I might have Mahrez. I mean, I might be forced to have Mahrez just because he puts in reasonable numbers, not good enough numbers for me. But if he's going to get 9 or 10 goals and 9 or 10 assists a season, it's decent numbers. So I'd probably squeeze 2 or 3 Arsenal players in.
2 or 3, okay. I disagree with so many over there. But for me, I'd go with definitely Ederson just because he's kicking his way better than Leno's. And both teams try to play that kind of style. So I'd go with Ederson in goal. Left back has to be Tierney. Brilliant left back has to be there. In the middle, I'd go with Laporte and Gabriel. I know you're saying he hasn't been there enough, but if we were to pick today for tomorrow's game, I'd go with Gabriel and Laporte.
If you're picking today, then I'd have Diaz.
Yeah, that is an option actually. You know, in fact, I'd actually go for Diaz and Gabriel, both new signings. I feel like those defenders are better than Laporte. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the injury situation with him. I'm not sure. And then on the right, both have been average for me. Both Bellerin and Walker. The way I've seen Walker give out, I think 3 penalties for England and City this season already. So it's like, I think against Leicester he gave out, against Denmark he did yesterday. So I think he's a bit all over the place. Rash, I'd say. I'd use the word rash a bit nowadays. So I don't know. I'd just go for Walker just. And then in the middle, of course, De Bruyne. I'd go with Partey, of course, even though we haven't seen him play. And then probably Bernardo Silva. Nah, I wouldn't put Bernardo Silva. I think I'd go with Fernandinho. Then Partey, then De Bruyne, and then up front, Aubameyang on the left. I would go for Lacazette up front, and I would go for Mahrez on the right. I'd actually drop Sterling.
You're not having Sterling at all. You can't have Sterling
at all unless I replace.
Sterling,
man. I really like Mahrez. I really like the way Mahrez plays. That's why I'm putting him ahead of him on that side.
Lacazette doesn't do enough.
Okay, yeah, that is an option. Okay, Sterling for Lacazette. I put Aubameyang in the middle. Yeah, I'd go for that. I'd put Sterling on the left, Mahrez on the right, and Aubameyang up front. So that's how many Arsenal players: Aubameyang, Tierney, Gabriel, Partey, So I think you still have a slight advantage on us. Back in the day, like when you had Sun and Silva, there's a time you had like 11 players in that combined 11. So I'd say that's okay.
If you'd go back 2 seasons,
Yeah,
and we were doing this,
yeah,
the only person who would get near would be Aubameyang. But then he wouldn't make it because we'd have up front, we'd have Sterling, Aguero, and Sane.
Yeah.
And that was the thing 2 years ago. Where does Aubameyang fit in with that? And there was no.
Yeah. The only player who could enter that combined 11 back in the days, as much as I hate to say it, was Sanchez, was the only one who was kind of mentioned in that combined 11. But I appreciate it, man. What is your prediction for the game?
Honest prediction, I think Arsenal are going to be tight. I don't think you're not letting too many goals in anymore. And when I think the way the games are going to go, it's like all games that City are playing. First half an hour, I think we'll be on fire. I think we'll be all over you. I hope so. The first half an hour, and I think it's what City can do in that first 20 to 30 minutes will dictate the outcome of the game. If we get 2 goals ahead, I think that's game over. If we're 1 goal ahead, then I think it's game on. Because second half, City haven't got the stamina. They haven't got enough to keep pressing and working hard. So I'm going to go 2-1 City as a realistic scoreline for Saturday.
2-1, and who would score for you guys?
Sterling and Ruben Diaz, header.
That would be terrible. His first goal for City. I've seen it happen so many times. Jota scored his first goal for Liverpool against us. I don't want it to happen again. But thank you very much, Ray, for coming on. Check out his channel, City Fan TV. I'll put his link down in the description. And let's hope we have a good game this time. We've suffered a lot of terrible losses against City over the years, both home, away, and even at Wembley in the Carabao Cup. So let's hope things change this time around. Thanks for watching, everyone. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.
Cheers, man.